Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today, I have a very special guest. I was on his show, now he's on our show. Eugene Gershman is a real estate developer who grew up in his father's construction company and now into a $30 million a year development arm before the market forced him to regroup. Today, he focuses on smarter, high-impact projects, raising capital with clarity, and building sustainable businesses. Eugene's journey has taught him how to lead through uncertainty, manage risk, and stay mentally resilient when the market shifts. He partners with property owners and emerging developers to bring single and multifamily projects to life, sharing lessons of experience along the way. His motto, quote, "Don't sell your land, develop it," end quote. I just saw a post about that on LinkedIn. Eugene, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lance. Thank you. Good to see you again. Pleasure being here.
Yeah. So we already kind of alluded to where I'm going with my first question. You grew up with your father's construction company. Where did that? Tell us about your dad? Like, did you carry a legacy through in your entrepreneurial world? A lot of people, like my son, is a good example. He and I are just starting a little painting company. I'm trying to get the entrepreneurial seed and fire planted in him because I'm like, you can make more money. You can be more free through making the money. There's just all of these benefits. And frankly, nobody will hire him right now because the economy sucks. But how did you carry that fire through? Because a lot of folks, it's tough. You know, they don't want to carry on dad's legacy.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's funny. For me, it was a little bit different in a way that growing up, I didn't know, but I was raised with this notion that one day I would take over the business. And the older I got, and in my late teens and early 20s, I really did not want to run a construction company. So I went to college and I didn't really know what to major in. I tried several different things. I tried engineering, computer science, and then I said, no, I don't like any of that. Let me just go to business school. They didn't take me to business school, so I got a degree in economics. And I'm like, I kind of like the financial markets. I really don't want to be running a construction company or working in a construction company. I've been exposed to it. I've seen my dad being stressed out all the time, angry all the time, like all of these issues that he's been dealing day in and day out. His vacations, he was on the phone. He was always plugged in, and I hated that. So I said, no, I don't want to do that. I went to work with this small investment firm, got bored after 2 or 3 years doing retirement projections for old folks, said, okay, let me go back to school, get my MBA, just get the schooling out of the way. Got my MBA. 2 years later, my dad calls me. He's like, hey, I've got this project. It's an investment project. It's got a lot of numbers, your kind of thing. Can you take a look? I look at it, call him back. I'm like, yeah, it's actually, it was a pretty cool, complex project. One of the most sophisticated financial models that I've ever seen. I obviously wasn't experienced enough reviewing real estate financial pro formas, but I just got done taking a few finance classes. So I knew enough about how to read it. Anyways, long story short, few meetings later, a few more projections later, questions and answers. He's like, look, quit screwing around. I could use some good people in the company. I quit my investment firm, let my Series 7 license expire, and joined the family business. I was mostly on the construction side, but kind of managing finances, helping manage. I mean, he wouldn't trust me to actually manage anything early on, but that's how it started. That's how I got in there. So not a true, pick up the flag and carry the legacy. After a little while, we started acquiring land and developing it for ourselves, and that was kind of our first introduction to real estate development. And then eventually we ended up folding the construction company. So now I just focus on development 100%. And kind of going back to that same, it's this constant stress, constant issues that come from the construction site is what, kind of pushed me away. But I like to say I know enough to be dangerous now. I've run construction. I've overseen. I didn't run, but I've overseen the operations of an engineering architecture firm that we owned, and so yeah, I think it gave me good experience and continued the brand that he started into the future, but with a little different twist.
Yeah. And when you say so he was doing construction, but it wasn't just building for developers, right? He was doing development too, right?
Uh, no, so our first development project was together. It
Oh, okay.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't until I joined the company that and honestly, it was a way for us to buy a job. It
Yeah.
was, what year was it? It was 2001. No, sorry, 2004. So we're still recovering from dot-com
Hmm.
bust. The market was still uncertain, and we were finishing up all the projects. We didn't have anything to do. And so a way for us to buy a project was to buy a land, develop it ourselves. And we're like, well, we'll just buy a project. And so it wasn't a very thought out plan that this is a business model. This is what we're going to do. We're like, we got to do something. Let's do something.
I love that though. And I'm laughing because with you because I there's something about entrepreneurs who are they have characteristics of hypomanics, and that's a positive thing. I'm telling you is that we're impulsive, especially when we know it's a good idea, and a lot of it is instinct when it comes down to it. But then sometimes we get bit in the butt by it, and it is what it is. We sort of enjoy it too, or like masochists about it. It's weird. At least for me, it is. So on that note, then, what forced you to regroup? And was that, first of all, was it a successful development? And then were you like on to the next one and then you regrouped? We did a similar pivot.
Yeah, I mean, the first few projects were fairly successful. We had one project, we started working on on this commercial condo development in 2005, 2006. It took a couple of years to get the permit, and then 2008 GFC hit, and everything got put on hold. So we then restarted doing some single family jobs, but the to your previous point, the problem with a lot of developers who don't have enough experience, with a lot of entrepreneurs, is we get a good idea. We think that this is the best idea, but the reason we're so excited about it is we're not thinking about all the risks and all the things that could go wrong. We don't even know what questions to ask. And I deal with that every day when I talk to owners who want to develop, and they're like, oh, this is a no-brainer. This is so easy. We're going to make so much money. We're going to help this community. And I'm like, you guys are not thinking of all of this. Like, you don't even understand what could go wrong with it. So that was that's the challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs and developers who don't have enough experience deal with. For us, yeah, I mean, we started growing. We developed a few projects, then we hit a pause after the GFC. Then we started getting back into it. And what happened 2 years ago, the reason part of the reason we shut down the construction company is we lost a shit ton of money. We got hit with a couple of our projects were over leveraged. We got hit with interest rate increases, construction delays, post COVID, inflation, and we got two projects foreclosed on because it was just too much and it was over leveraged. So that required us to regroup, shrink down to the minimum core, back to basically the family members again in the business, and start growing again.
Yeah, so everybody, I'm sure you took what was the biggest lesson you took during the regroup then? Was it just the purely being overextended? And is it just more cautious when you start looking at new deals and advising people on new deals?
Yeah, it's all of the above. Cautious, definitely focused. Get rid of construction. Trust people who know construction well,
Mm.
and have all of the systems set up for construction. Have all the people in place with experience. Uh, Part of our deal is too. We started growing fast, and we started hiring wherever we could. It was really hard to find good experienced project managers, superintendents, carpenters. The market, especially here in the Northwest, was very tough. And so we hired whoever we could. We made a lot of bad hiring decisions, but we needed to hire people because we had work to do. And so, yes, focus on what we do best. Definitely analyze the risk. Definitely advise owners and investors on what makes the most sense. Not be pressured. One of our partners pressured us into doing this one deal that I instinctively thought was not a good deal, but maybe got a little greedy, maybe got a little hungry, maybe got a little excited, and so all of those lessons are now part of this package that allows me to think through the deal and to objectively make a decision and advise the owners that we partner with what to do next.
Yeah. There's been a there's been a groundswell of architects who are finally moving in the direction of doing their own development deals. At least from my perspective. I'm wondering if you're seeing anything like that on your end, and if you've worked with any folks like that.
Not full-time professionally. I would say I've interacted with enough architects. Well, it's interesting. So my world is split up. My interaction with architects are split up into two kind of distinct groups. One group of architects are the ones that work for these giant firms, and they're very much corporate. They do what they do in their world. And then others are what I'm gathering more like you, smaller, entrepreneurial, small firms, and those are the ones that try different things. So I guess I don't have enough data to actually say, yes, I've seen an increase, but I've interacted with folks like yourself that have done development and gone through construction and actually understand what happens at the job site.
Yeah. So where I'm going with that question, thank you. And this is totally cool. There's no empirical data. That's fine. Is it wasn't a gotcha question. It was more of I'm just curious about there's some people who are very anti this movement that is happening where they go architects should not be developers. And as one who has done it and continues to do it, it's like I actually see the reasoning behind that. Our first one was very it what we developed was beautiful. It Everybody loves the buildings. I love the buildings. They help us win more clients. We didn't make a lot of money at first. The equity since then, because they printed so much money after during COVID, oh my gosh, fantastic. One of the best financial moves I've ever made in my life. Right? I'm literally sitting in one of the condos that I designed, built, and developed. Now I live in it. I walk to my office. My life is in a good place. But I do see where that argument can come into play. But at the same time, it's like, well, now I'm telling you as an architect who develops, I understand the commodity much more succinctly than other people do. So, your father was a builder first, then became a developer with you. What is, who should be developing? Do you think anybody can do it? Like when people work with you, for example, like would you be able to take somebody who has capital and ambition and at least a general understanding of how it works and mold them into a developer?
I think short answer is yes, but to me, a developer is somebody who not just knows a trade, but knows what trades are needed to get the job done. It is virtually impossible for one person to know everything. And a developer, especially the larger the project, the more complex it is.
Mm-hmm.
The developer's job, it's kind of like I've heard this analogy recently. It's kind of like a movie producer. The movie producer is not the director. It's not the script writer. They could do all those other things too, but it's generally a top level manager with very good skills to bring in the professionals to get the job done. So a good developer would know that he needs an architect, uh, several different engineers, a good quality contractor, uh, good quality subcontractors immediately when the job even first conceived lawyers, accountants, all of those different trades, and be able to put them together and build that orchestra that would play well together. And I think that's the most important thing. A lot of people that I talk to think, oh, well, I'm just going to hire an architect. They're going to design this building, and then I'm going to hire a contractor. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bid it out,
Mm-hmm.
find the lowest bidder, and sign a contract and have them build it. It doesn't work that way. It's truly it has to be a cohesive team that likes each other, that can work well with each other. Otherwise, the project is not going to happen. And to your point, an architect that can develop, or an engineer that can develop, or a contractor that develops for themselves, or all of those three things, yes, you could do them as long as you still understand that you need all of these other team members to work with you. And I think that's very important. It is super important for the architect to actually go through the construction process, because that's what we're seeing a lot is we get these pretty pictures and then we bring them to the contract and they're like, how the hell do I build it?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Well, let's talk about deals, because that's I think that's for me, that's the first step. For a lot of people, the first step, and it should be kind of the first step. You're like, all right, I'm interested in a property for whatever reason. Might be proximity to where you're stationed. You might be just location of like, well, seems like it would be the right development for this place. What what are some of the big red flags though you're looking at right away? You're trying to shoot holes in it. You're trying to see like, should I actually put the capital into purchasing this piece of property in order for development? What are those red flags?
There's probably more red flags in this market environment than green flags or whatever other other color you want to
That's
choose
what
to
I mean.
go,
That's why
right?
it's so stagnant at this point. Yeah. So,
It's the biggest the hardest thing to work to make pencil in this market environment is construction costs is super high, and real estate is not climbing fast enough. Your for sale prices or your rental rates, they're not catching up to the cost of construction. Inflation, even though the official rates are coming down, construction materials are still going up. There's still that uncertainty about tariffs. There's still so many things that are not known that are causing construction costs to go up. So that's the first thing that we try to ballpark. Does this pencil? In most cases, it doesn't. But then the next question is, okay, well, the reason it doesn't is because we use today's cost, we add a 10% escalator on to today's number, and then we use yesterday's values, real estate values, and we're trying to have the scale balance. And the problem is that as we're escalating the already high construction costs, but we're keeping real estate values at the same level, it doesn't work. So then the question is, what is our forecast of what's going to happen 3 years from now when this thing is built, or 4 years, or 5 years, however long it takes? And this is the hardest thing to forecast. And traditional real estate development logic and wisdom says no, it has to pencil in today's dollars. If it doesn't pencil in today's dollars, don't do it.
mm-hmm.
But I think we are in this environment that in today's dollars almost nothing works. So you kind of have to take some judgment call and analyze, well, what is going to happen in the next few years? Can you invest some money and some time to get it designed and permitted, so that hopefully in a year when it does get the permit, the environment changes. 2 years when it does get built, the environment changes. So those are the things that we'll look at. Red flags, I mean, your typical things, your environmental, your site conditions, your additional risks, municipal risks, market risks. Those are all the things that we analyze.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's which to your credit actually is if those are, and for the audience here, I think those are advanced ways of thinking. Like in other words, you maybe you're more seasoned developer in that way, but there's a lot of people who just want to get into it. What advice would you give to them if they're just trying to get in? They're just trying to do their first one, break the ground. I get approached by people all the time because we've done it and we broke in. And they're all from all different walks of life. For example, there's this guy from Texas who is now working with my wife, trying to do his first development deal in Longmont. And one of the first, I had the meeting with him last summer, and he was shocked at some of the things you mentioned, right? Which can only come from maybe from an advanced perspective, which is like the municipality risk. What's the risk there? He was like, oh, it's just like how long before I can get a permit? And I go, oh, maybe 12 to 18 months. And he was like, it's coming from Texas. And he was like, what? And I explained the differences up here. And that really set him back along to where then he funneled down to, and I go, why don't you just start with some fix and flips, bud? Just get your, just wet your lips. What's your advice for people who want to just break in?
I mean, yeah, starting small is not a bad advice. I like it. Definitely always good to just dip your toes in the water and see how you feel. Another way, I mean, obviously, selfishly, I say, look, partner with somebody who knows what they're doing, and maybe expect to make less on your first deal, expect to pay for some learning curves. But the most important thing for somebody who doesn't have years of experience is whatever you do, don't borrow too much money. That's where most things collapse. Let's say your thing takes longer. Let's say your things cost more than you expected. As long as you don't have too much leverage, as you don't have excessive amount of debt, you could still ride out the market conditions. You can wait it out. Real estate, funny thing about real estate, it always appreciates. It might have some short-term fluctuations. Long-term, it appreciates. If you have to wait 10 years, maybe you have to wait 10 years. But whatever you do, just don't borrow too much. And that's really the main thing. And then, yeah, get as many consultants with a lot of experience. Ask them specifically what other jobs they have done that are similar to yours. If you meet an architect and you like them, but they haven't designed a similar type building before, find somebody who has. When you're working with a contractor, make sure that they've built something similar in this city before, that they know what they're dealing with. And that's the main thing, because there's so many unknown unknowns. You don't know what questions to ask.
Yeah, right. And one of the most important part is asking all those kinds of questions for sure. Especially the timeline. I think people you know, I'm gonna crap on real estate realtors a little bit here. Like my wife is one. She mostly deals with residential, so it's not directed at her, but man, there's a lot of them in the commercial sector who really hang their clients by not understanding what it takes actually to cut through red tape these days. Once even it's something as simple as signing them for a tenant finish, right? Where they're just going into an existing strip mall or something like this and trying to get a small business up. And when that 10 to 15 to $20,000 rent comes due, maybe you should have asked for a bigger due diligence period just to get the building permit, right? That sort of thing. I think what you don't know
Oh, yeah.
can hurt you 100%. Eugene, let's shift into what it's like to work with you. If people are listening to this and they go, look, I think I want to try to dip my toes in and at least work with Eugene on a consultant standpoint and pick his brain and make something happen development wise. How do people engage with you? What's the process like?
I mean, it's pretty simple. I firmly believe in the notion that advice is free, implementation costs time and money.
Yeah.
If you just want to call me and pick my brain and ask for advice, I would always answer. Shoot me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to give advice. For us to actually get involved on a project, so our model is we rarely do just straight consulting work. We typically start out as a consultant, going through the feasibility study, and we've developed fixed price model for feasibility studies. I hate hourly billing or complicated structures, so it's fairly easy. Our rates are on the website, but usually we do a feasibility study. We research everything there is to know about this project. And then we propose to become an equity partner where we essentially invest our profit into the deal during the duration of the project. Our overhead gets reimbursed from the project budget. Our profit is back-ended, and we typically get paid last. But then we help put together the team. We help put together the financing. If we need additional equity, we help raise equity. If we need debt financing, we find debt financing. We put together the best team of consultants and contractors together early on. I would not go into a project without a contractor on board. And we meet with municipality and we sit down and we talk and we ask what they want. We engage with neighbors if needed. We manage construction, and then on the back end, we manage sell out or lease up, refinance, whatever it takes.
Yeah, yeah. Eugene, I'm so glad to have you on the show. Thanks for providing insight. Your answers, some of the questions were just even got my brain spinning here a little bit in a positive way. I've got two questions as we run up on the end of the interview. And first one is, knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time to when you first started with your father's construction company, turning it into a development company, what is one piece of advice you give your former self?
Definitely learn how to raise capital and learn how to market. Those are the two things that I did not know. Even after graduated from business school, I've taken all those classes, but I never actually thought about how to get it done. We in the trades are always or often focused on how to actually build, how to create something. We're rarely focused on how to raise capital. We're rarely focused on how to market our services and how to grow the business from the marketing and sales standpoint. Those are the things that I didn't know, and it took me years to realize that and actually invest time and money into learning those skills. So
Yeah.
that would be my advice to myself.
Yeah. If you were, okay, back to, I get, now I have a follow-up with that one. Sorry. I usually don't do this, but the raising capital is a mystery to people. What is like raising capital 101? Maybe it's just how do you get in front of people with money?
You start talking to as many people as you can. You start with your closest, what they say, friends and family, and then you broaden your search. You go to your country club, you go to your chamber of commerce, you start talking about it on the internet. You go out and start reaching out to people on social media, and you keep talking about it. And raising capital is a full-time job. So if
Hmm.
you're growing your development firm, definitely have somebody dedicated to it full-time, because even if you don't have a project, you need to continue meeting people, meeting investors, and getting them prepped for when the project is available. You really don't want to start finding investors when you need the money. You need to look for investors before you need the money, so that when the project comes around, when you're ready, you have a group of people ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. Eugene, if people, you've already kind of mentioned it, but let's just make sure we drill it down autistically. Where can people follow you if they want to get in touch with you and engage?
Yeah, giscompanies.co. That's our website. Always feel free to check it out. There's plenty of free resources out there. We have a feasibility study checklist available for free that you could download if you want to do it on your own. Just literally follow the steps. And then I'm on social media, mostly LinkedIn. Look me up, Eugene Gershman. And other than that, EG_developer on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Oh wow, all the places. Definitely check it, Eugene. My favorite place to follow him is on LinkedIn. I just love his posts. They're engaging. I know since you started podcasting, you've really leaned into that, and he gets a lot of traction and just very insightful. So check him out on LinkedIn for sure. He and I have been LinkedIn for a very long time. Eugene, thanks for so much for being on the show today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lance.